So, how long you got?
Hours.
You see a lot of honeypot locations in landscape photography, and there's nothing wrong with them at all. I shoot them myself. But in Woodland, you can always pretty much guarantee you're going to come away with something unique that no one's ever seen, no one's ever shot before. And if the composition works or not, that's a different matter. But you always find something new, and that's one of the reasons I love Woodland photography. So yeah, I always find it's best just not to go out there with any preconceived ideas.
Okay, guys, thanks again for joining another episode at Landscape Lenscast. This is the fourth episode. Tonight we've got another photographer with us, of course, a landscape photographer, and also a photographer who actually is well known with guys on this page, on this group, meaning, of course, Steve Stain, and of course, and Darren Moorhouse. Martin Hajdukiewicz, very, very talented landscape photographer, especially woodland shots. You really need to check him out, and we'll certainly put some of his images throughout tonight through this this interview. So Martin's originally from Coventry, and he lives at Newton Ayton in Warwickshire. Martin kind of is well known for MH landscape photography. So we're going to go through a few things, and one of the things we always start off when he's doing these podcasts is where did it come from? Where did the love for photography come from? And just going back to your childhood, where did photography come through?
Yeah, sure. So, so throughout all my childhood, I often went out on holidays with my parents and did a lot of hiking holidays and stuff in the Lake District, in Wales, Peak District. So I've always had a love for the outdoors from that, but also, and on top of that, I was in the air training corps, the Air Cadets. So with that, we did a lot of things like Duke of Edinburgh awards and all that kind of stuff. So going out doing long hikes, camping, wild camping, that sort of stuff. So I've always been an outdoorsy person. And that's just always, that's just sort of grew throughout my time, really. I've just constantly had that love for the outdoors. The photography part from me really comes as being a bit of a geek. So my day job is an IT job role. So I love all things technical. I love electronics. I love all of that sort of stuff. So with my love of the outdoors and with the love of electronics and stuff, the two kind of marry together quite nicely. I love the technicality of the camera, but I also love the outdoors. And by bringing those two together, I think photography just kind of came hand in hand, really.
Good. And of course, I understand you're a rugby fan. You like rugby?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Bit of a sore point.
Completely different kind of subject. I just thought I'd brought that up there because
it's a very good point. It's a bit of a sore point. So I was a massive fan of Wasps rugby in Coventry. Yep. Anyone familiar with rugby will know that they went through a bit of a few issues in the recent years. So basically, they had massive financial problems, and unfortunately, they went into liquidation. So the team, as it stands, is currently really no more. There are plans for them to somehow regroup. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll see what happens with that.
I was actually going to mention that in the intro, but I kind of was, I was about to put that into this kind of bit of fact, a nice little bit of fact about Martin there. And I was kind of brought up there and I was like, this is a bit odd. Well, rugby. We were talking about rugby tonight. But so getting back to the photography aspect, use guys like you, Steve and Darren, of course, on the F.71 podcast. But I'll plug there for you guys. And of course, that's with Darren Moorhouse, Steve Stain, of course, Martin Hajdukiewicz, and of course, Paul Baker, Paul W. Baker, and Daniel Bennett, Daz Waite, and Colin Powell. Just so we mentioned out there, guys, because if you've not seen the podcast, have a look at it. It's kind of more of a laid back sort of bit of a laugh as well, and also the images are great as well. But just the things that you talk about, the last podcast just there, things get broken. That's all I'm going to say. And there's a particular gentleman that tends to break things all the time, guys, isn't there?
Certainly is.
So you'll be curious about that. So if you want to look at that podcast, I'll put the link below this video, as long as also with Martin's links, social links, etc. So Martin, in regards to his landscape, now I've noticed you do a lot of predominantly is woodland photography, and that's something I really love myself, and of course Steve as well. You guys kind of come hand in hand with that, where you go out and you kind of go out to the woods and you go out and do your shots. Where did the love of photography and kind of landscape nature come from?
Yeah, I think it really stems back to what I mentioned before. I've always grew up as an outdoors person, so I love hill walking. I love the big vistas. I love woodlands. I love the serenity that you can get in the woodland. From quite a high pressure job role day to day that I have, especially the woodland. There's for me no better release than just being in the woodland, especially on a nice, really calm morning. Hopefully a bit of fog if you're lucky, and just those real nice those mornings where you can just be at one. It sounds really sad, but at one with the camera, at one with the nature, and really just lapping it all in. Just that isolation. Really, it's just it really appeals to me when I've had a stressful week at work.
Yeah, definitely, and I think I can resonate with that as well. Is that thing that it got me into woodland photography was just firstly taking pictures of trees that I've never done before, and the realization that you're by yourself 9 times out of 10, it can be really, well, it can be always, it's always quiet. There's never many people around in woodlands, except for dog walkers. But as we love to hate them, that it's nice when people ask you what you're doing, they come across, oh, you taking a picture? Yeah, I'm taking a picture. Oh, what are you taking a picture of? A tree. But as I say, getting back to your point, you get kind of lost in the immersing yourself in that kind of environment, away from the public, away from the busyness of the city. And when you're in these places, you slow down, you think more, and I think your creative juices flow more. I don't know about you. Do you feel that? Do you feel like when you're actually out there, and you feel that your mind, you have no preconceptions, you just kind of come across these kind of stories in a forest that you want to take pictures of?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, to be honest with you. I mean, especially in Woodland, you can't afford to really go about with any kind of preconceived ideas because they're that chaotic, and they're very unique. And that's one of the things about woodland photography. You see a lot of honeypot locations in landscape photography, and there's nothing wrong with them at all. I shoot them myself. But in woodland, you can always pretty much guarantee you're going to come away with something unique that no one's ever seen, no one's ever shot before. And if the composition works or not, that's a different matter. But you always find something new, and that's one of the reasons I love woodland photography. So yeah, I always find it's best just not go out there with any preconceived ideas. Just treat it as if you're going for a really nice, calm walk in the woods. Getting some fresh air, getting some exercise, and just allow yourself to really absorb it. And you start to see these characters come alive, and you'll start to see these interactions between trees as well. And it really, you can start to see it all come together. And obviously then when you found something that looks remotely interesting, it's then about how do you piece that together? How do you deal with that chaos? And that's, one of the things with woodland photography, it takes a lot of time. I don't know about yourself, but you spend a lot of time trying to compose a shot. I could spend easily an hour on one shot in the woodland. It's easily done.
Yeah. It's getting back to that point you mentioned about taking your time. Do you think that go and visit the same local places? Of course, you've got a lot of woodlands in your area, but I presume. But do you ever go to like Paul Thompson, last guest we had a couple of weeks ago, said it's always important to keep to local. Do you feel that you get better and better as a woodland photographer just going to these local places all the time, or do you feel that you have to travel more?
No, I feel like I get better going to local places all the time. I mean, Steve will attest to this. There's a woodland we go to, which is only 5 minutes down the road from us, and I mean, I will go to that woodland 2 or 3 times a month at least.
Yeah.
And each time I'm finding new compositions, and I think that's not through pure luck of finding the compositions. I think it's just as you constantly go to these woodlands, your eye starts to improve in terms of piecing the chaos together. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I will travel to far-flung woodlands where I know there's going to be some interesting characters. We've just come back from a weekend in Devon, which is not too far from Wisman's Wood. Yeah. And we were very tempted to go there, but we didn't this time. But that is one of the places I would love to go to in the future.
Cool. I mean, what we're going to do tonight is we'll get some of the images up.
Yeah.
Now, this is the part where I'm going to try something. I'm going to put up a little kind of jingle on this one. If this works, okay, guys. Good. If it doesn't, it's not going to happen again. So this is just a little kind of jingle I've been working on. And if it works, yeah, if it works, it doesn't.
It's time for that part of the show on Landscape Lenscast Podcast, where we all take a look at the images for this week from present and past.
It worked. Almost.
It's
Anyways.
time for that part of the show on Land.
Right, I done it last time when I was testing it with Stephen there, and it came up. So anyway, it's going to go into doing a bit of screen sharing, and we're going to put some up Martin's images. So Martin, obviously, the starburst is the kind of focal point there, but no, the way the trees are slanted, the roots coming down, pointing towards always points to a direction where the sun gets the most, apparently, where the roots are. But can you tell me more about this shot and what conditions, what type of day it was?
Absolutely. So this was taken around my birthday last year, and I had a spare day, and I thought, okay, well, I want to go and check out a new woodland. This woodland's quite a well-known woodland. I know for a fact that Nigel Danson, it's one of his stomping grounds.
Yeah.
And I went for a walk around the woods basically, and it was a pretty rubbish morning's photography, to be honest with you. I only got one image that I liked, and that was actually this one. Everything else was not particularly great. But I happened across this scene here, and what really, I absolutely love about this is these exposed roots to the trees, anchoring into the side of the rock face. Basically, is what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't do any planning for this shot, but as I arrived on this particular location, it just so happened the sun was sitting in the most beautiful place for this composition to work. So I stood around for 5 minutes and just waited for the sun just to come across where it's just peeking out the side of the tree there. Then for me, the decision was very much made. Let's go for f/22 to get that starburst effect. And just make the most of that light there, which is obviously flooding there through the sort of gap in the trees there. And it was just at the beginning of autumn, really, so you can just see some little specks of I
was going to say that. You can see that
leaves there. Yeah.
Was it quite awkward to get set up to get the composition?
Yeah, so it was very awkward. No, it's very good point. So this was at a weekend. And Alderley Edge is a very busy place with, or touching on what you mentioned earlier, Paul, dog walkers, and people just then generally out for walks themselves. And the path that you take this photo from is only big enough for one person, and I'm not the smallest person in the world. So it was a case of having to sort of frame my composition up, wait for people to go past, and move my stuff out the way, and just try and get a shot in between people walking past. So that was a real challenge. Try and get this shot. And yeah, to add to that, the path is very thin, and then to the left of me there's quite it's not not a sheer drop, but it's a substantial drop. So yeah, it was fun to try and compose this one.
Yeah, it definitely sounds that way as well. And I like what I like about the shot as well is how you've kind of made the attention to detail away from the right hand side, the bottom right there. Obviously, I don't know if there's a bit of vignette in there just to pull the center of it. Yeah, it works very well. I like that. And the detail in the branches, the colors of autumn just coming through slightly.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, the talking point is the roots, isn't it? I mean, it's just seeing the roots going up. The roots are all connected to each other, and you can probably see there from that picture, the roots. Some trees are all connected together. Pretty much all the trees' roots are kind of giving nutrients to each tree, and that's how they kind of survive and help each other. And you can see this image depicts that. It shows you that if you look on the left-hand side of the image, these trees join together, the roots. So yeah, really good image. I like that.
I've been doing some reading about the what did they term it? The wood wide web.
Oh
where all the trees are interconnected through the roots in the ground, and the fungi basically is what shares these nutrients between the trees.
That's
So
right, yeah.
it's fascinating stuff. And
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I like to think that trees are, in some way, shape, or form, sentient beings. You know, they have a way of communicating with each other.
Yes.
And yeah, I think, as you rightly said, it kind of comes across in this scene.
Yeah, it's a good way. It shows the way, there's obviously the community aspect of it as well. Yeah, really good shot. I really like that one.
Thank you.
Let's go to the next one. This is a great image. Martin, can you tell more about it? Obviously, it's completely opposite conditions. And bracken, the burnt orange bark bracken with the change of the seasons looks great. And also, yet again, the roots of the foot of that tree. Sort of oak tree, is it? Is that correct?
I think it's an oak tree, yeah. So this, as I say, it's at Bradgate Park, and this was taken in winter, in fact, just before Christmas of not last year, but the year before.
Yeah.
And myself and Steve,
Okay.
we'd gone to Bradgate Park for the morning because it was a very frosty, cold day, and it's not long after we had some snowfall. And as you can see, obviously there on the roots and the ground is that it's quite white looking.
Yeah.
But we're both Sony shooters on the Sony A7R3, and we've both been and bought ourselves vintage 50mm Pentax lenses.
All right. Okay.
I think are from sort of mid 1970s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the challenge we set ourselves was basically to go and take a photo with these 50mm, or take several photos with these 50mm images, and see what people thought about them and see who came out on top.
Yeah, that's nice.
Steve would say I cheated.
Go on. Why did you say that, Steve?
Well, we said we'd go our own ways for an hour, and someone come back about 10 minutes after that hour, and I believe he was taking this shot.
It was this exact shot. Yeah.
This shot. What's nice about this shot is I took almost the same image, even though we split his own ways. But I must admit, Martin done a lot better job. I like it, the crop and how he's composed the image, but we actually got very similar images on that, didn't we, Martin?
We did.
And it was absolute coincidence that we've done it, but we've actually took almost the same shot.
Yeah, what I like about the image is the balance of it. On the right-hand side, you've got the patch of grass there coming through the snow. Yeah. And then, of course, the tree in the middle, the main talking point, and in the back, your eyes goes right to the bracken in the back there. It's a beautiful shot. Really nice.
Yeah. Thank you. And what I also liked was the balance as well between sort of the top right-hand corner, the whiteness of the sky there, against the diagonal white on the bottom left-hand corner. It's just
it's another way to put it, because one of the things as woodland photographers, we don't like to have sky, but when it comes to snow, and I've said this in one of my videos, it's not a bad thing because it's white, and it plus shows the conditions of the white sky, which is the weather conditions at the time. But in the summertime, a blue sky doesn't go with a tree. It just, to me, it doesn't look great. But when it comes to the winter time, everything kind of looks more subtle with the sky. And in this case, it's certainly where your branches hit to the top and left-hand side there. It draws your eye up there from the right-hand side to the left, as you say, from the corner of the right-hand side there. So it's a lovely shot.
And I think it's one of those photos that would only work in these conditions. I mean,
definitely. Yeah.
I'm yet to return in sort of, autumn without the frost or the snow, or summer, but I can't see it working the same.
Yeah. I remember seeing Steve's images a couple of weeks ago. He put one up of the snow and the bracken, etc., coming out, and all the colours coming out. The mixture of warmth and cold, and that's certainly what this gives as well. Certainly gives that aspect. So this image, of course, Martin, looking at, I've seen this before with one of Steve's shots, and I'm guessing it's the same tree. It's it's I love the mist and it's kind of dropping off in the background there. And it's a serpent kind of tree looking, gnarly looking dead tree still growing in some certain parts.
Yeah, exactly. So this was only a couple of weeks ago. Myself and Steve popped out on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact day. And it was after 2 or 3 weeks of absolutely horrendous weather. I'm sure you probably had the same in Scotland, but wind, wind, rain.
That's not unusual.
True.
Sorry, go on.
Wind, rain. It's just been horrendous for about 2 or 3 weeks, and we could see the weather patterns were changing, and we thought it looks like there could potentially be fog at Cannock Chase. So we made the decision quite late on. I think it was a Friday night to make our way to Cannock Chase, and we're glad we're glad we did, because it was. I mean, the fog stuck around all day. And we only left because we ran out of time. Basically, we would have stayed there longer if we could.
Use up all the camera battery, or
it's
more the energy battery, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the energy battery, absolutely.
Like the bracken at the bottom there. You can't miss it. The burnt bracken there at the bottom there, the burnt colour, I should say, the orange bracken just underneath the first part of the tree.
Yeah, so
right hand side.
This was actually done. So Steve took a very similar shot to this, but I loved that sort of pigtail, if you like. I want to call it a pigtail.
Yeah.
Of the root. I don't know if it's a root or a branch that's curling its way through with that piece of bracken there to the main sort of
interest. Yeah.
Tree branches there in the background. So I didn't have a wide enough lens to get that all in as one. So I actually did this as a vertical pan of just 2 shots.
Okay.
And sort of opted for a 4x5 crop on this, and I think it worked out quite nicely.
Yeah. Fills the frames definitely as well. It's your eyes are going everywhere. What you're following the whole kind of tree front to back, and obviously to the corner of the right hand side as well. There, nice shot. Yeah. So this shot, of course, Martin, just tell us more about it. Beautiful, stunning conditions, a bit of nice warm light as well amongst the cold there, I can see.
Yeah. So again, this was another trip out with Steve.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, in the UK, we don't, especially down south, we don't get that many snowfalls.
No.
So when we do, we'd like to try and get out and make the most of it whenever we can.
Yes.
And fortunately, Steve has a 4x4. So we made our way up to the Peak District, to a place called Crome Hill. You've probably seen many shots of this particular scene. Or it's usually further back with an oak tree on the left-hand side.
Right. Okay.
In summer, and people go there to try and get an inversion. You've got then Parkhouse Hill in the background there poking out the top of sort of an inversion. But never seen too many in the snow like this. And this was actually taken on our way back down to the car, and it almost has, to me, a bit of a sort of alpine feel to it, like somewhere you'd probably see in Switzerland. It looks like a gigantic peak, when really it's actually quite a small peak in the Peak District. But as we were coming back down, I was really drew to the sort of grasses and stuff that were, that were sort of peeking through the snow, and it's just got that sort of lovely sweeping effect right through to the peak of Parkhouse in the background there. Almost going for a bit of it's almost black and white, but with some slightly warm tones to the highlights, with the sun that was coming through. Just
out of curiosity, did you try and like black and white also, or?
I have tried black and white. Yeah.
In regards to that, how would it look like? Would you prefer the color version? I mean, looking at it, to me, it's quite nice, because with it in color, you can see the warmth to the image. That's what color gives you. But did you feel that the black and white, did it work better in a way, or do you think the obviously in this case color did work better because that's why you took the image? But how did you feel black and white went?
I've tried both, and I like both, to be honest with you. But I'm not a huge fan of black and white. I do like color in my photos, and the reason why I opted for color in this was, as you rightly mentioned, it's those warm highlights that just give it that sort of feel of, okay, you're in these snowy conditions, but you have that sort of that warmness to the scene.
Yeah, especially
could be a very cold looking scene.
Yeah, that's a lovely shot. So anyway, some great shots there. Thank you again, of course, Martin. No, we will go back to the other shots as well. And there's a few kind of more sort of mountains, hills. We've got rivers, some beauties, really some cracking shots we'll look at later, especially the one of the wild garlic. I'm really intrigued looking at that one. What do I talk about? Mainly, just going back to when you first started doing photography, what was your influences in photography? And this is a question that's probably asked a million times on these YouTube kind of podcasts. Does anyone alive or dead has influenced you in landscape?
So when I first got my camera, I wasn't, so the first camera I got was a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds camera. It was a tiny little thing called a GX 800, I think it was called. And I got that not because I wanted to do landscape photography, but I just wanted to have a proper-ish camera to go out and take photos, because whenever I've been on holidays and stuff with the family, I'd always be there taking photos on my phone. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm quite enjoying taking photos. I want something a bit more real, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
where I can manually adjust things, shutter speeds and that kind of stuff. And I was, when I started, I was taking photos of anything and everything. I think as most of us do when we get a camera, down to macro or landscape, or I even went to some sports events like shooting racing cars and stuff like that. But then, I started watching a lot of YouTube channels, but as most of us do, about how to use the camera, that kind of stuff. And happened across pretty obvious Thomas Heaton, Simon Baxter, Nigel Danson, amongst many others as well. And the more and more I watched these videos and I saw them out in these amazing locations, I thought, I'm really liking this landscape photography, with the history that I have of being an outdoorsy person anyway, and seeing what them in these locations, capturing these amazing images. I just was really drawn to that. And then as I've come along, I've obviously been looking into more, other landscape photographers' work outside of YouTube. Ansel Adams, what his name? Well, Little John.
Oh yeah.
I mean, his photos are absolutely astonishing.
He is, yeah. He's up of my neck of the woods, Mark Littlejohn. Some of this stuff. I mean, I actually watched him on the podcast. Podcast. I don't know if you guys watch it. I'm sure you do. Probably know the guys well. He was on it, and he looks such a great guest as well. So, yeah, his images, vista shots around landscapes around Scotland, everything are amazing shots. Mark Littlejohn, yeah,
massive inspiration. I've noticed with his editing as well. He tries to go for that sort of painterly look with his photos.
Yeah,
that really appeals to me. I try. I try to go for that with my photos. Don't always succeed, but that's a style that really appeals to me.
yeah. I know those that will with a lot of photographers on YouTube. It is difficult, trying to do the videos that we've kind of been saying in previous videos. But trying to actually get a bit of work of filming and getting that work out with your images. And there's that expectation, which sometimes goes away quite quickly, I suppose, where you have to perform and get these great images to put out the video. And then some landscape photographers just go out and tell the story, like Thomas Heaton. He's more interested in the story aspect as opposed to getting the right image all the time. But let's face it. I mean, as you mentioned about Thomas Heaton and Simon Baxter and Nigel Danson guys, these guys are effortless. These guys have not so much with the YouTube, but these guys have been in photography a long, long time. And Thomas Heaton's quite a young guy, with respect to myself. and he's been doing a lot of media work before he actually done YouTube or photography. So he's always been in that kind of apparently vlogs everything. Everything, gets up in the morning, he records everything, I've heard.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just diaries what he's doing every minute of the day. And that's what it comes into. It's like it's not just the photography, it's a videography, which we kind of sometimes dismiss as photographers. Because some of the B-roll you guys get in the videography is just as good as a picture sometimes as well. Some lovely scenes. So yeah, I mean, just looking at a couple of things there. No, of course, one of the things I want to touch on, I think Steve is involved in this. Well, you and Steve are involved in this. You do have a great community in regards to doing workshops, etc., and thumbs up photography, which is on Facebook. But yeah, tell me more about the thumbs up photography that you guys kind of built through. Was it the last couple of years you've been doing on that?
I'll let you go, Martin.
I'll let you go. Yeah, so I mean, to be fair, Steve came up with the idea of the thumbs up photography group, and really the idea for Steve of that group was to have a community, a Facebook community, not just for landscape photography, I should add, but for photography in general, where the emphasis really is on having a photography community where it's all just about basically being supportive and being a nice, friendly community. In photography, there can be a lot of negativity in some groups. I've seen it myself, and it can be quite vicious sometimes. In some places, but I think myself and Steve, we've always said to each other, look, if we ever saw any of that in our group, we'd stamp on it straight away, because we do not want that in the group. Giving people constructive criticism is fine, but from my opinion, it should be on the basis of you asking for it. I've seen places in the past where people have gave constructive criticism without asking for it, and it just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, because that thing where people were starting on photography. When I started on photography, I was very sensitive what people say. I think we all are, because someone can just say one thing that completely takes your confidence away, or the other way around. Some people have got thicker skin than other people. They just kind of get on with it. It took me a while to develop that thick skin. But yeah, you're right. And I think with groups like you guys do with Thumbs Up Photography and Photo Peeps, so that Darren does, Darren is a member of this channel, guys. You've not seen him again, but he's not here tonight. But hopefully we'll get him back again. But these groups on Facebook, they get a lot of bad press with bullying and all that kind of thing. But I must admit, the photography community, generally speaking, when it comes to these groups, is good. And it's just like, it's just an informal kind of thing where you can chat to experienced photographers and also kind of novices and people just starting out. And that's where the two guys come in with Martin and Steve. They will help you. They'll all critique if you want a critique or a gather, or even just feedback.
It was just set up to help people, whether that's a more experienced photographer who wants help with processing, or the opposite, someone who's good at the processing but struggles with composition, or and it's another reason why we have the actual physical meetup, the physical meet, like we've just had, and anybody can come along. And if so many times you'll get people asking you questions, and we will ask questions for, like, if we're in Woodland, the first person I'm going to go to for Woodland photography is Martin. What do you think? Composition, how do we go about this? And I think it works in other ways. If I'm stronger in one subject, Martin will come to me now, and vice versa. And that's with everybody. And I'm going to speak for Martin as well, but we get so much out of it, a lot more than these people just asking. If they can learn something, and we learn something as well, it's such a positive. It's fantastic. So I think it's been going about, I don't know, 18 months now, something like that. But I wouldn't have done it without Martin, because we did. Yes, I sort of come up with the idea, but we discussed it before we started it, and it's a joint effort, definitely. And we've met some fantastic people as well, which is just brilliant, all over the country. And we have the meets all over the country as well, and we try and do it for everybody. So we've just been down Devon today. We've got back today about 4 hours ago. So people from down the South Wales have come and joined us yesterday, and one of them was so pleased that he could just get out and meet photographers, which was just fantastic. It's not, when we're on these meets, it's not really about the photography, it's about the community of photographers. That's what it's about, and just being positive.
And guys, if you want to look at that, I'll put the link below. As I say, just click onto the link and just give these guys just to join the group, introduce yourself, and if you are going to join, just say I've seen it on the podcast that what Paul Cunningham's on, which is called Landscape Lenscast, and so I can get a little bit of recognition. Anything to get a bit of publicity, guys.
That's it.
But, no, well done for doing that group, because it is. I can identify when I first started in photography. You know, I had one guy put up in two uppercase letters, two uppercase words, sorry, and it was this image I put up, and it was St. Giles Cathedral, and it was in black and white, and it was raining, and he put shite photo in uppercase. So I went, okay. So I looked into the guy's page, and he was not a photographer. And that's it. You know, if someone's going to give you criticism, make sure they've got make sure they've got like the skills to give you criticism. Because if they do give you criticism, it's not going to be that way. They're going to give you a constructive bit of criticism. They say, look, nice picture, but maybe you should think about your foreground, or you know, there's ways to do that with people. You know, don't be nasty. That's what I say.
Yeah, but we get I've had people privately message me, you know, asking for help. They ask for location. And it's all there. You know, if you want it to put it on Facebook and ask and be critiqued, if you want to send us private and say, what do you think? How can I help my photography? I've been more than willing to do that. So
good.
You do know your inbox is going to be flooded now, don't you, Steve?
Well, I'm going to tag it to yours. Yeah.
Well, that's the end of that plug. So there we go, guys. It is, of course, Thumbs Up Photography on Facebook. Go over and click on join group when you go and see it. So we're going to move on to a couple of other things. Now we'll do going back to the images again, and I'm not going to put the intro up. No, it's just too long for so let's go straight into it. So, Martin, just if you want to introduce this image and tell us more about it.
Yeah, I submitted this photo not because it's not, you know, one of my best images, because it's not, but it's a nice image. And basically, this was in September last year. Me and the wife, we love hiking. We love being out, especially the Lake District. We actually got married in the Lake District a couple of years ago. So it's a place that we absolutely love. And we went while camping on the side of Haystacks at a place called Blackbeck Tarn. Put my teeth back in. And as you can see there, you've got the heather in the foreground. So it's right at the end, or right in the peak of heather season. And the reason I submitted this image was because, as you can see, we don't have great light. In fact, it's quite flat lighting. But I think that just goes to show, I think, you know, sometimes flat lighting actually works in the right conditions. So you know, this photo here, I purposely chose to blur out the heather in the foreground because I wanted that to sort of give it a little touch of depth to the scene. So because we haven't got that excellent light, which you would normally, you know, have to give you some of that depth to the scene, by actually using a wider aperture on the lens, by blurring that foreground, it gives it that little bit extra depth to the scene without the actual light. And I just love the sort of the purple tones at the bottom of the scene, and then leading out to those real cold morning tones in the background there. So this was taken just before sunrise, actually. And and you got a beautiful scene there of the immediate lake, which is Buttermere, and the one in the background there is Crummock Water. And for me, it just reminds me of an amazing time me and the wife had while camping, and I think that's where you know, it might not be technically the best photo I've ever taken, but
well, I mean,
it gives me the memories.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that just speaks itself, in it. It's the memories, and I think when we experience these pictures, taking these pictures, even looking back, we get all these feelings and emotions, of course, from it. It is stunning, yeah. So that's Buttermere. So this one, Martin, of course, and looking at to the image itself is obviously it depicts everything about winter, of course, snow, and also the trees looking. We've got a birch tree on the right hand side there. It's a suspected looking ash tree, I think, is on the left. Possibly without further investigation, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lovely shot. Can you tell more about this one?
Sure. So this was a location called Holm Fen. It's a location that I've only been to 2 or 3 times now, and I think both myself and Steve were really inspired to go there from predominantly watching Jamie Overland, who's one of the podcast guys. And I absolutely love photographing silver birch trees. There's just something about them. I love that bright white bark, especially in conditions like this. And Holm Fen is just littered with really characterful birch trees.
Yeah.
But this morning we arrived at Holm Fen, and as you can see, we got the most incredible conditions of hoarfrost. and it was a very, very white scene. So this was actually taken on my super telephoto lens. Can't remember the exact focal length, but as soon as we arrived on scene, basically we arrived to this sort of, it was a bit like a field, wasn't it, Steve?
Yes, just it's sort of the edge of the fen, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I managed to get about 4 or 5 compositions from this one small pocket just by turning the camera sort of around 90 degrees. It was incredible. There's just so many different characters that were jumping out to me, but this particular one really jumped out to me because you have that, and I think you might be right. I think it might be an ash tree on the left-hand side of the scene, and I just love that shape to it, the character to it, the way it's sort of leaning over, like a branch sort of leaning over, and it's almost like the birch on the right-hand side is kind of reaching out to it.
Yeah.
And then you've got, I don't know if it's a piece of deadfall or something on the sort of in the middle of the frame. It's covered in hoarfrost. That's kind of sort of circular shape in the middle.
Yeah, I can see that there. Yeah,
kind of just brings it all together, and it's just a really nice, for me, wintry scene.
There's so much interest in the picture, and look at the branches of the trees. You say they're looking down, they're kind of falling. The ash tree there on the left hand side, and it kind of like drooping a branch. It's kind of drooping, growing down the way. And of course, the birch trees kind of like touching out, like it's almost touching. They're touching each other in a case of like communicating with each other in a way. It's a really nice shot, that. And also, of course, the bracken covered in white, and you can just see the orange kind of bracken there.
You can just see touches of it breaking through, can't you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things when it comes to woodland photography. And one of the first things I ever learned off watching someone Baxter is when you're doing woodland photography, don't necessarily look for trees. That sounds counterproductive. Look for interactions between trees, and I think that this is a great demonstration of that here. You've got effectively these 2 trees, the ash tree and the birch, kind of reaching into each other.
Yeah, you certainly got that. You've certainly found that. Yeah, I can see that what you're meaning. It's there is that. It's not just about the trees. It's more the communication aspect, as you mentioned. Yeah, certainly that with the kind of reaching out to each other there. It's a really nice shot, and it's like you can kind of with woodland photography. It's not about just seeing an image going, that's a really nice image, and then taking a couple of seconds looking at it. These images of woodland, why I do like the woodland photography is you can get drawn into the image a bit more. Because you're looking at everything. There's so much in that image in a woodland shot. It's not just about looking at the actual conditions. You're looking at the branches, and your eyes kind of travel around the picture. Now that must be a great image in print as well. Have you got that on print at all?
I did print it, yes, on A3 and photo speed matte paper, especially. Really brings out the texture. It's absolutely stunning. It really is.
Yeah. So looking at this shot, obviously you've got all the ingredients there. You've got a rainbow, you've got the reflections, you've got a lovely sky, moody sky up there, a little blue sky there. So Martin, just tell us more about this day and what time of the day it was, and what was it like?
Yeah, well, you might notice a bit of a recurring theme here. So this and Steve, I know why Steve's laughing. So the recurring theme is that a lot of these are taken with Steve. And yeah, I couldn't ask for a better person to go out and do photography, because we both really bounce ideas off each other.
You did say that to you, actually. I will say to Stevie, but last podcast we had, he said that both of these bounce off each other. That was exactly the same thing that you said. So there we go. In unison.
And it's Steve I've got to thank for this particular photo, because we'd been to this location, Clindanas in Snowdonia, for a morning shoot, actually to go and meet Dave Griffiths for one of his meetups from his Facebook group, actually. And we thought, well, okay, well, we're going to pop to Clindanas this morning and take some shots there. And yeah, it's had a great morning's photography, had some beautiful light, got some lovely images. And just as I was packing my camera bag away, Steve shouts over, "Rainbow!" And I look around, and as you can see, the rainbow couldn't really have sat in a better location, right in that sort of dip of the valley there. So really quickly got my tripod back up, got my camera back out the bag, got it all set up, and managed to pick this photo off. And just the lighting, the rainbow itself, the mood in the clouds, it just all came together beautifully. And I love the way that the rainbow kind of balances against the little boathouse on the right hand side. It's a really nice balanced scene.
And I like about the tree as well. You can look at the bottom. The rainbow is a little tree right at the bottom of it.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, eagle eye viewers will see that.
Even the raindrops in the water, that light rain that obviously still as it's
I can
moving
see
through, you've
speckles.
got that drops of rain in the water. Just that little detail. Super shot.
And I've had this one printed as well, quite big, as a canvas to give to my parents as a present, and they've got it proudly hanging on their walls. So yeah, it's every time I go around to visit them, it's a nice reminder of a great morning's photography. Martin, just tell us more about this shot, and the conditions are stunning. Actually, was this early morning or? It was very early morning. Yeah, and this is actually one photo I didn't take with Steve.
This is one photo I want to capture.
What cause a lover's tiff there, guys.
So this was August 2021, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Family holiday in Fairbourne, in South Snowdonia, and on this family holiday, I thought I was going to take on my camera gear with me and pop out a couple of mornings, and I popped out to this place called the Precipice Walk, just above Dolgefle, in South Snowdonia, as I say, and I didn't really know what to expect from this place. I just thought, I looked on the OS maps and I found this location, never heard it before, never did any research on the place, and just thought, I'm just going to go out with a camera and see what I see. And first thing that hit me was it was a nice foggy morning, as you can kind of see in the photo. So that was great. And then I walked up to this lake, and it's about a 15-minute walk from the car. And as I came through the gate and I sort of walked out, I just saw these trees in the middle of the lake, and I was like, this is nice. And then basically in the background, I could see that the mountain is part of the Cadair Idris range in the background there, just poking out above the top of the water. And this was taken just before the sun had actually come up. So this is kind of more of a blue hour shot.
Yeah.
And look, I had to very carefully jump between different sort of parts of the marshland to try and frame this shot up, because I wanted to make sure that tree was as central as I could get it to the peak of the mountain there in the background, and also making sure that the trees didn't intersect too much with the trees that you can kind of see in the background. So
I like the separation. I do like, you've layers and you've kind of I mean, I gather composing it itself and saying, it take a bit of time just to compose it up.
It was a tricky one to compose. I spent a lot of time going backward, forward, left, right, and then we're also talking sort of millimeters here, left, right, left, down, and it took me a long time.
It's amazing a couple of millimeters can do in photography. And looking at the cool tones as well. I love the tones in that image. Cool tones.
More of a creative choice. I mean, obviously it was taken at blue hour. The original raw wasn't quite as blue as this, but I felt it suited me, just adjusting that white balance ever so slightly more towards the cool tones, just to give it that kind of serene feel to it.
Certainly does. It's a beautiful image. So Martin, just again, looks like got a morning shot, I presume.
Morning shot back in November last year, and arguably one of my most memorable mornings photography I think I've ever had.
Right.
So there is another shot we'll have a look at later, and it's the one that I'm using as a backdrop here, which is from the same location. And the River Raphe, it's a very popular location, and this composition I'm sure is nothing new. But the conditions we had that morning were absolutely incredible, and I don't think we even predicted it was going to be like that. We had a feeling it was going to be foggy, but we did not expect the hoarfrost or the touch of frost that we had on the ground and the trees themselves, and those cool tones of the frost, but obviously the warm tones still of the leaves on the oak trees there. It just came together absolutely beautifully. And what made it even better was the day before, the Saturday before we actually took this shot, we had a pretty miserable day's photography, didn't we, Steve?
We did.
We went there with such great expectations.
Okay.
And this morning just made up for that completely.
Excellent. I'm loving the tones, but the trees, this pop, the ones in the middle there. Blue trees pop. Little duck in the back there, the actual foot of the tree there, foot of the pond.
Yeah,
Is that a duck, is it?
I don't know. I think it's a duck.
It is. Yeah.
If you were to zoom in on that, because the shutter speed I was at, it's quite a blurry duck. And I toyed with the idea of basically deleting that, or removing that in post. But I thought, you know what? No, it's a nice addition to the scene. It tells a story of the scene itself. You know, you've got this little duck in this little big expanse of the trees here with the frost, and yeah, I thought leaving it in is the best idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to pronounce this River Braithe. River Braithe.
Braithe is probably actually. I think that's actually the correct pronunciation. Yeah.
And is that the picture you got behind you in your?
That is exactly the one.
So, Martin, tell us more about this image. And of course, it's a lovely morning, I presume. It's got low-lying mist. I can see in the right-hand side there.
Yeah, exactly. So,
beautiful.
This was back in August 2022, in, again, the River Braithe, and arguably still one of my favorite images I've ever taken. And not just because of the conditions, and not just because I think it's a good image, but this, and we mentioned it on our F7.1 podcast a couple of weeks ago. This is particularly special to me because a couple of days before this, both my wife and I got married in the Lake District.
Yeah.
And this was basically during our honeymoon, basically. So,
nice.
Yeah, a very special time for me. And yeah, I popped out one morning to the River Braithe thinking, yeah, okay, it looks like it's going to be foggy. And it was beautiful. And frame up this composition here with the river coming in from the right hand side, which leads you through to those beautiful dominant oak trees on the bank of the river there.
Yeah.
But then balanced quite nicely with that, I think it's an oak on the right hand side.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Without that there, I think it would have been it would have felt a very unbalanced scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, what amazed me with this photo more than anything was the little editing I had to do to this. All I really did was cool down the highlights in the mist and the river itself slightly, just to give a bit more separation, and slightly adjust the greens slightly towards more the yellow tones ever so slightly, and that was pretty much it.
Nice. Yeah, so not much post-processing involved, and I like the warm tones in the back there, is behind the left-hand side of the trees.
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of shine onto the trees as well. Really nice.
The light was beautiful. Just another thing to mention about this photo as well. So, the year before, I attended a barbecue meetup with Simon Baxter and Thomas Heaton, and there are about 40.
I did see that because I watched it. I was on Simon Baxter's channel, wasn't it?
Yeah, there are about 40 to 50 of us that attended the barbecue meetup, and we were all asked to bring an A4 print of our favorite photo. And you know, I took this print there, and I thought, yeah, I've got absolutely no chance of winning this. And then basically we're all asked to put our prints on this massive table. And as I walked in and went to put my print down, I was sort of holding it like close to my chest, thinking I've got absolutely no chance. Looking down at the table, thinking the quality, the standard of work here is phenomenal. And I put it down, thought nothing much of it, went and got myself a couple of beers, and then basically Simon, Mally Davis was there as well, and Simon Baxter. They deliberated over who should be the winner, basically, and yeah, amazingly, I came out in first prize. So
wow, yeah, I remember seeing that. That was a couple of years back, was it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well done as well. Yeah, because you know, yourself and Steve, when it comes to Woodland photography, pretty much look. I mean, there's a lot. I don't want to take away from any other Woodland photographers as well, but you guys are pretty much up there. Really stunning shots. I love the way you do your post-processing as well. It's this simplicity of like very paint. You're talking about painterly the colors, and some people get right, and you guys certainly do get that. You know, I mean, this image here is just it's got everything, the kind of the greens of the warmth and the low line mist, etc. Obviously, you've balanced it well as well. You can see with the right hand side of the oak tree there coming into it. But yeah, I mean, you guys, like Simon Baxter stuff is amazing. Of course, we all know that. But there's only so many people who get woodland photography right. It is a hard genre to do in photography. This image here, Martin, of course, is a lovely complete image, as I'll call it. Yeah, tell more about it. And yeah, where was it?
Yeah, so it's Farnham Salt Marshes in Norfolk.
Okay.
This was from a trip out last year with both Steve and Colin Powell, who's recently started the YouTube channel. He's part of he's one of the Thumbs Up Photography admins as well now as well.
And he's
so
on the podcast with you guys is 7.1.
7.1. Yeah, exactly. And I'll shout out to Colin on this one. He spotted this. Basically, it's a dried up puddle.
Yeah.
So,
That's
which obviously
almost like a pathway, almost.
Yeah, it almost looks like a path, like a yellow brick road. And basically, there's this dried up puddle, which I guess if it's a dried up puddle, you can't really call it a puddle.
No,
we we had that conversation, but basically, I mean, it's the perfect lead into this old sort of coal bunker, I think it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, in addition to that, you've got this sea lavender as well, just sort of sparsely sort of decorated around around the actual mud flat itself.
Yeah.
Just a really nice sort of summery feel to the scene. We didn't quite get the light that we were looking for in the clouds, but I think it was just enough to bring it all together really quite nicely.
Yeah, the foreground, the foreground's a talking point in the image, and I think looking at that foreground as well, there's like an abstract shot there just to take a picture of the mud pond, as it were, and just like a 1x1 crop kind of thing. You can probably get another image of that. But saying that,
yeah,
that is a cracking, because it's there's interest in the foreground, and of course you've got the cottage and the backdrop there finishing it off nicely.
The one thing I will say about this was the amount of editing I had to do to the photo.
Really?
In terms of removing stuff. So what you don't see in this photo is behind the actual the coal bunker there, to the right, there was a lot of cars and stuff parked. So
Really?
yeah, I didn't want them in the scene, so they had to be very carefully removed.
Well done. You've done a good job there. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. Did you use a radial filter for the foreground?
Say again, sorry.
Did you use a radial filter for the foreground, the private pond?
Not a radial, no. What I tend to do is I tend to use a linear filter, and I've got two of them basically to create my own sort of vignette at the bottom,
yeah.
so
Yep.
I can sort of really customize that how I wanted to, because
Yeah,
I wanted to sort of darken that down ever so slightly in the foreground, so it really gives that sort of eye from the sort of the sea lavender there straight through to that mud flat, if you like, and obviously then straight through to the coal bunker in the background.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly got a lot of interest for the eye. It's food for the eye, certainly, that image. Great. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Yeah. So this image, Martin, just tell us more about it. Obviously, the wild garlic in the image is amazing. It's just the tones as well. I love the tones in this image.
Yeah, so this was during wild garlic season last year. I think it was in May, and just outside Cannock Chase. And I don't know many wild garlic locations to go and visit. I find them very hard to find. When I've been looking for them in the past, I've got there and it's just not been quite right. But there's this really small, and I'm saying really small, woodland here, just as I say, just outside Cannock Chase. And this particular scene was really stood out to me, because you've got that stream sort of coming in from the left hand side, sort of leading you through the frame. And then obviously I think these are beech trees. Obviously balanced quite nicely either side of sort of where that stream's going through there as well. But then you've got, obviously, in addition to the wild garlic itself, you've got there, I think it's a fern or something growing out on the right hand side, just really anchoring that right hand side, filling in that sort of dead space, if you like. And this was kind of shooting pretty much towards where the sun was rising, and obviously with that sort of mist there as well, just giving it that really nice sort of rich, quite golden tone to the scene. And it's
I love the on the right hand side there. You got the one looks like, I don't know if it's a chestnut tree, so a twisted barky kind of tree there. Another one, they look like the kind of beveled, the shapes of them. It's like really interesting looking at these trees. That's what I love about woodland photography, is like the background. Your eye just kind of goes right to the background of these images, and you're looking at the unusual shapes, and so the mist kind of just gives it that kind of finishing touch. It makes the depth of the image more interesting in it. But that burn going through the or the lake or pond, well, I'll say a burn, a gal, it looks like, going through it, just leading your eye to the back as well in it. But yeah, I do agree with you when it comes to finding wild garlic in certain places. It's very hard to get in the right type this time of season. There's a short window, I believe, in it. It's a couple of months, about 2 or 3 months you get it.
Exactly, finding clean compositions can be very difficult. I mean, obviously, woodland photography, it can be difficult to do that anyway. But
Yeah.
trying to find that alongside wild garlic, and obviously then hopefully getting the right conditions, it's very, very, very few and far between.
Especially when as well,
yeah, I mean, especially when you're a weekend warrior like myself, where you only really get the weekends to go out, so you have to try and capitalize on it where you can.
It's what I do miss in the summertime is obviously long summer nights, and you can just go into the woodlands and up to about 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night sometimes later. And we finish our work or whatever we do during the day, and we can just pack off and just get in the car and drive a bit further out. But we can't do that in the winter times. It's just like weekends only. So yeah, I do get what you mean in there. It's just frustrating. Can't wait till the lighter nights come back in again. That was a lovely shot there.
I'd like to just with that image, how you've actually processed it, and how like the green colours, the perfect colours. You can really go too far with the greens, and how you've processed them, and then them shadows as well. Them lovely sort of they've not dark, horrible, contrasty shadows. Have got that nice, soft, painterly feel to it, and then that lovely green color. Because again, you can destroy an image by how you process them greens, and I think you've done a super job of that.
Yeah, you have. Do you reduce the greens quite a lot in your images?
I try to. I'm quite averse to really dominant greens in my photos. Sometimes they can look a bit sickly. So I do like to play around with the HSL sliders. Depending on the scene, I'll either drag those greens slightly towards the yellow tones, ever so slightly if I can. And just have a play about with those until I get them how I want to see them, basically.
Exactly.
But I think it's them shadows as well that out them greens out, isn't it? Them soft black shadows.
And I think it's a good point you made, and it's so much you've mentioned. So I love to play about with the curves adjusters in Lightroom. So what you'll find with a lot of my photos, and especially this one, and even the last one we're talking about at Forum Salt Flats, there's no real true blacks in those images. So what I'll do is I'll lift the blacks to taste. And then I'll adjust the S, basically add an S curve in the curves there, and basically that gives those blacks a sort of a bit more of a sort of a matte tone, if you like. And it gives it that sort of, it really adds to that sort of painterly feel.
Easy on the eye. It's a nice soft, as Steve said, with the shadows are nice and soft.
Yeah,
I love a shot. Good. Some great images we've seen tonight, Martin. Thank you for certainly coming on the show as well, and also showing us these images. Really enjoy them. So, guys, thanks. We just have some images tonight. We've witnessed some stunners, some real eye openers there, especially when it comes to woodland photography. Do check out Martin's work. He has got a website as well, I believe. Is it you got a website at all, Martin?
Yeah, it's mhlandscapephotos.com.
Yeah, I'll put that link down below as well for all these other socials, regards to Instagram and all the usual suspects. Vero. Vero. So yeah, it'd be great. And I'll just kind of went through a few things earlier on about Martin's work, etc. And I did mention about going into thumbs up photography and also checking out F7.1, which I got wrong the last time. That's a good podcast as well. Like us, they are just like-minded people who are photographers and just talk shop, talk photography, and have a few laughs in between. So join Dan Muirhouse and the guys with that, and Steve Stein, of course, and Martin on that. You enjoy, and we'll put a link to that below as well. No, it's been great having you on, Martin. And of course, the other thing I was going to say as well, if you want to come back again, that would be great. We have got people coming up in the future. Adam Gibbs. And of course, Mads Evanson, he's another favourite of myself, and of course, Steve likes him. I presume you like him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we on this podcast we try to get a good spread of photographers, and yourself, of course. There's one of my photographer mates watches your channel all the time. It was him that introduced me to your channel, and I've been watching you for about 2 years now.
Really? Well, the first time we actually met was in our local woodlands, wasn't it, Martin?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Martin that's really introduced me to the woodland photography side of it.
Yeah.
I must admit, I've learned so much off him. So, but we do bounce off each other. But you know, when we're standing there and he's pointing these things out, I'm thinking, yeah, you know, he sees things in a totally different way to what I do, and that's fine because I'm more of a vista. Even in a woodland, I'm a vista man.
Mhm.
You know, it's the bigger picture I see, where you're more the detail, and you can see the interaction with the trees, the shapes. You know, where I see the sort of the bigger picture, and we do bounce off each other. It's actually good. It's a good thing to go out with friends who see it in a different light, just see things differently.
Yeah,
It's been a big help for my photography, I must admit.
I mean, one of the guys the first people went onto my workshops called Steve Nicol. He started to come out with me and just informally come out because he enjoys it. We got on very well. We're now friends now, and he right now he's kind of looking to get into doing more for the sort of wider shots, like you mentioned, Steve. One of the things he's got against him, he's a very busy guy. He's into IT as well. Does IT just like, is it yourself? Does IT?
Yeah.
Martin. He does it for the NHS. So he's like pretty much working all hours, etc. But he's like, when he gets a camera, he's like, you fancy coming doing a bit of photo jaunt and go up the woodlands? Went, yeah. Next minute, 2 days later, he's like, okay, we'll have to cancel because he's pretty much working for the NHS. So he's like, great guy. I said I'll give him a wee mention because he likes your channel. Well, I was going to actually, Before we go, I have to do this. No, back at the back of me and the back of Steve, there's a book there, Landscape Photography of the Year, and I think it's number 15. Yeah, collection 15 it will be. Steve's actually in that book. And Steve, just tell more about that. Of course, just I don't want to put you in the spot or anything, but go on, let's see the image.
I don't really want to talk about it.
You're not right. So you're doing a Hardcastle thing, yeah?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
It's I put an image in and it's actually probably one of the easiest images I've ever taken, to be honest. And it's one of those images that you're there at the right time, you know, just but saying that, you still have to put the effort in to get there at the right time. And it was a 2-hour journey up to the Humber Bridge, and fingers crossed for the fog. And when I got there, it never happened. I had a lovely sunrise. Started off at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there for sunrise at 7, and got the sunrise. Quite happy with what I got, but I wanted the fog. I wanted the fog come through. So I've gone to the camper van, got the kettle on the go, having a cup of tea with my old friend Cooper, and dog, and we just had a lovely morning. And then the fog just come in, and it just come in on the Lincolnshire side. Yeah. So I was on the right side. I was on the Yorkshire side of the Humber Bridge, looking back at this beautiful fog coming in, and it just sort of engulfed the Lincolnshire side. And I just shot under the bridge, got directly under the bridge, got the image. So it was so simple to actually capture, but it was just about being that right moment at the right time. Yeah, so I'll just put it into the competition and got a highly commended. So well done. Well done. And of course, promise me you will actually feature that image in the next episode. Yes, I will do. Yes. That's great. We'll get that image up because people will be, I think it's better actually seeing its splendor as opposed to just showing it in a book, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah. Great, guys. Have you enjoyed this tonight? Let's say we all call it a day just now, but we enjoyed it. And Martin, thanks again for giving up your time tonight and doing this. Really appreciate that. I know you guys are all quite busy doing your own stuff with things in life and family, and of course your own photography and editing videos and things. So guys, thanks for watching Landscape Lenscast. We'll be back next week, and we will be doing something different next week. We're going to be introducing people just starting out in photography who are actually not doing YouTube videos to come on the panel and discussing their image along with us. So it's not going to be completely like an interview. It's just mainly getting somebody onto the channel and just getting them that kind of, exposure
showing them their images on, and we can obviously give them a bit of feedback as well. So if you are interested to come on the podcast, leave a comment below. I will set up an email address. We've not got one up yet. Probably by the time I do this, I'll leave that in the comments below. But if I haven't, just put a comment below this video that you're interested to come on, and why. Tell us why you want to come on and what type of photography you do. It's only landscape we do in this channel, of course. So unfortunately, if you anything else, we're not going to show your stuff. But I'm sure there's another channel will do that. But certainly, yeah, if you are interested, it's a new thing we're going to introduce. Leave a comment below this video and we'll get that up and running. So, great. So thanks, guys, Steve and Martin. Been a pleasure. Take care and enjoy your photography week, guys. And have a good week. Take care. See you later.
Thanks so much for having me. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.